Hey, what's going on guys, it's the Muffin Man here and welcome back to Anthem. In today's video I'll be giving you some quick tips for how to get better at playing Storm. In our last video I covered how to get better at playing Colossus. Make sure you go check that out if you haven't seen it. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. And also if you think there's anything that I haven't covered in this video, make sure you leave that down below in the comments. So getting straight into the video, we'll start off with tip number 1. So as you all know, hovering is what you should be doing as the Storm at all times. Hovering, it makes your shield more powerful, which lets you absorb more damage. But tip number 1 is that on the higher levels, such as Grandmaster 1, 2 and 3, you should never rush into the battle. Whenever you're hovering, you want to stay back a little bit. You want to be the support Javelin, which is what I like to call the Storm. Priming targets, detonating combos, shooting from afar. That's the best way, because the Storm is well known as the glass cannon. He dishes out a lot of damage, but he can die really easily, especially at Grandmaster levels. While the Colossus and Interceptor are really good for pushing in, doing damage and getting out when they need to, the Storm benefits mostly from staying at the back, shooting from afar, using his elemental attacks to destroy enemies. That's probably the most effective way to play Storm without constantly dying, at Grandmaster difficulty anyway. And very useful weapons that will benefit the Storm are probably marksman rifles, assault rifles and sniper rifles. Whereas you probably want to avoid using shotguns and machine pistols, simply because those two guns involve getting up close and attacking enemies at point blank range. Don't get me wrong, if you're playing on difficulties such as easy, normal and hard, by all means, go close range, go far range, however you want to play, that's fine. But at Grandmaster, speaking from experience, as a Storm you want to stay back, keep your distance, and shoot from a fair distance. Tip number 2 for playing Storm is you want to use a Primer and a Detonator. Now I know lots of people like to run a full detonating build or a full priming build or use a build that don't use primers or detonators, just simple abilities. But as a Storm main, I think it's really good if you use one ability that's a primer and one that's a detonator, not including your melee. The reason I say this is because each Javelin has a special benefit from causing a combo, and I believe the Storm's benefit is the most effective out of all 4. Every time you detonate a combo as a Storm, the primed effect is spread to other targets. So for example, if you freeze a target and then detonate, any nearby enemies will become frozen. So they will suffer from the status that they were primed with. Unfortunately, you can't infinitely combo, which sucks. I know it'd be awesome if you could just freeze an enemy, detonate, the frost would spread, then you detonate them, and then the frost would spread again, and you keep detonating them until you just freeze all the enemies and keep killing them. That'd probably be a bit too overpowered, so I understand why BioWare made that thing. Because you can prime a target yourself, detonate that target yourself, and then that effect will spread to everyone else that's nearby, and then you can just keep attacking them for a maximum amount of damage. Tip number 3. This is one that I don't think a lot of people utilize very much, but again, this is just my personal tips, and this is what I found from experience really helps me while playing Storm. Using items with pickup radius inscriptions. So for those of you that don't know what that is, for every piece of gear you have, you get inscriptions, and if you have a piece of gear that says you get increased pickup radius, that basically means health and ammo lying on the ground, you're able to pick them up whilst being further away. Since you're always hovering with the Storm, or you should be anyway, all you have to do is hover over these items, as long as you have a large pickup radius, and you'll collect them automatically. So on difficulties such as Grandmaster, where you're dying a lot or taking loads of damage, even after getting shot once or twice, it's so useful being able to pick up health that is far away from you. Instead of having to divert your attention from shooting the enemy to turning around and flying back to pick up health or ammo, you can do both at the same time. While shooting, just hover towards some health or ammo, and you'll pick it up automatically as you hover over it. It's so useful. I feel like this tip is something that could get overlooked by a lot of people, but if you just want to give it a try, trust me, it makes a massive difference in Grandmaster. And the final tip that we have in this Storm video will be based on the components you use. Now of course the defining attribute for the Storm is his manipulation of the elements. You want to strengthen your elements as much as possible. So whether you're using 2 ice elements or 2 fire elements or a lightning and a fire element, whatever it is, whatever elements you're using in your build, make sure you use the component that strengthens that element. So 3 examples are the fire inscription, ice inscription and lightning inscription. Say for example you're using an ice storm and a burning orb. You should be using an ice inscription and a fire inscription to help boost the power of those 2 gear slots. I reckon about 75% of the Storm's effectiveness comes from his abilities, so his elemental attacks. Yeah, the weapons can be cool, master weapons are cool, even legendaries, but the thing that makes a Storm stand out so much is the fact that he has a range of elemental abilities and the way he can easily prime and detonate targets with powerful elemental attacks. Now, of course, you don't have to use components based on the inscriptions. You might want to focus more on your ultimate strength, or maybe your combo strength, being able to chain more targets. But I think it's really useful to use the components that match the element of the abilities you're using. It makes a huge difference for the Storm and makes it much more powerful. So that'll conclude this video, just some quick tips for how I think you could be better at playing the Storm. I think these tips are things that lots of people tend to overlook, don't find very important, but just give it a go. Maybe make a build with a big pickup radius, lots of inscriptions based on your elements, having a primer and a detonator, staying back instead of pushing in and dying all the time. Believe me, it makes a huge difference. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe and like if you found it useful. If you think I missed anything, leave a comment down below, sharing any other tips you might have. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I made a tips video on how to play as Colossus. Make sure you go check that out. Currently working on an Interceptor video, and after that I'll be making a video on the Ranger, so watch out for that. Subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss out on those videos. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day.